Today, we're going to talk about how to create a successful leadership development program and also how to measure whether or not that leadership development program has been successful, something that has baffled executives and learning and development professionals for years. In this video, you're going to learn 3 tips for how to build a successful leadership development program, what things you need to keep in mind when building that program. We'll talk about some different examples of the types of leadership development programs that are out there. And then we're going to talk about measuring success in learning and development generally, but also in leadership development. You may have the impression that measuring the ROI of a leadership development program is impossible, or at least it's very hard. And by the end of this video, you may be surprised to see how easy it can be. And I'm going to give you the tools to do that. So first of all, what is leadership development? I mean, obviously it's the development of a leader, but why is it so important? Now, in most organizations, the people that get promoted are the people who do really well in their job. So take, for example, a sales organization. There are 10 salespeople, and one of those salespeople continually hits their quota and actually exceeds their quota quarter after quarter. They're doing so well that when it comes time to promote one of the salespeople, the executives get together and decide that that salesperson is the right person for the job. So they promote the salesperson. That salesperson may not necessarily have any leadership skills, as it turns out. In fact, the decision that was made to promote them was not based on their ability to lead and nurture the growth of their employees, but rather on their technical skill in the job that they are managing. There are many sales managers out there who don't know how to be a sales manager. What they're good at is sales. Or perhaps the organization would have been more successful if they thought about what traits does a great sales leader need to hold? Is that consistent ability to achieve sales quota, or is it perhaps a desire to develop people, to help people grow, to nurture and mentor employees at the organization so that they can do their best? That is the importance of leadership development. So many people in leadership don't have any leadership skills, and so we need to empower them with those skills so that we can create the best teams possible. Because when you look at the number one reason that employees leave their organizations, it's not because they left the organization as a whole, it's because they were leaving their manager, someone that they did not feel like they were connecting with. In another video, we talk about the 5 key traits for any leader, and those are clarity of results, empathy, visibility or transparency, accountability, and also agility. And if you're interested in hearing more about those 5 leadership skills, then check out that video. The link is in the description below. Many new leaders don't know what's expected of them, and so they fail in their leadership roles because they haven't had their own clarity of results about what success looks like in a leadership role. So that is why leadership development programs are so critical, so that you can nurture the future executives of your company and the talent pipeline of people who are interested in growing and supporting your mission. So what are those 3 tips for building that successful leadership development program? The first is that the best learning happens in real life. What I mean by that is a training that doesn't have any real world application can often fall short. Benjamin Franklin famously said, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember, involve me and I will learn." So a great leadership development program involves the members in active application of the lessons that they're learning. There's the lecture portion, sure, might be taught by a facilitator or in a virtual environment, or it could be simply reading and videos. But once that's done, the leaders need to be able to apply what they're learning in real time, on the job ideally, and if not, creating a cohort of leaders that can use each other as a sandbox to experiment and try new things is a really powerful way of allowing them to get involved in the learning, to practice the lessons that they're learning so that they really stick. A couple ways to do this in an organizational environment is either to give them a real strategic initiative that this group of leaders can work on, or to allow them to come up with their own. Oftentimes, leadership development programs are great ways to create innovation in these new leaders that can benefit the business. So that is a key component of any successful leadership development program. The second is to build accountability into the model and the program. Accountability can often feel like something in which employees are getting punished if they don't do the right thing. The definition of accountability that we like to use is one in which people rise above their circumstances to overcome their challenges. And that means that leaders in a leadership development program are going to take on that mindset for the organization, that they get out of the mindset of something is happening to them and they embrace the mindset that as a leader, they can make a difference. Now, I have been in an executive position at an organization where I felt like there was some greater force at work, namely the people above me, that made my life hard, that made my job nearly impossible. And when I did not have a mindset of accountability, I was blaming them for everything that was going on in my team. I felt justified in my resentment, and I wasn't rising above those circumstances to make a difference. When I did embrace accountability, something shifted. What I did was I decided to focus on the things that I could influence, the things within my sphere of influence that I could change. And then I tackled those issues. I decided to stop spending time complaining about the things that I couldn't change and focus on the things that I could. And suddenly that new mindset allowed me to create so much change in my team. Even though I never really changed those things that frustrated me, I was still able to advance in ways that I previously hadn't been able to. That is the mindset of a true leader that leadership development programs need to embed in order for the impact of those programs to last way beyond the end of that training. And the final thing that every leadership development program needs is very clear goals and milestones. Our research on workplace culture found that clarity of results alone can improve culture strength by 44%, and that goes for leadership development programs as well. If you're clear on the goals you're trying to achieve, then you will be able to know if you've achieved those goals at the end of the program and adjust accordingly for the next cohort that comes through. Now, this ties into the last thing that we're going to talk about today, which is how to measure the success of a leadership development program. So many people think that that is impossible. Why bother even trying? But the truth is, it's not impossible. The ROI Institute has developed a framework for measuring the ROI and the business impact generally of various training programs and leadership development programs. And this is how you do it. Step 1 is what I just said. You have to set clear goals and milestones. Set expectations for what you're trying to achieve. Then you need to measure whether or not those things have been accomplished. There's a lot of ways to do that. You might have a control group and the leadership development group in which you can compare results from those two groups. Or you might ask people to self-report what they believe that they think the impact of the leadership development program has had. Even more powerful is to ask their leaders if they felt like there's been an impact on the business outcomes based on that leadership development program. The best way, though, is to measure the impact on business outcomes that would result from the particular leadership skills that have been nurtured in this leadership development program, and then attach a monetary value to those things. So for example, if you do a leadership development program that you would like to see impact employee retention, find out how much turnover of one employee costs and then measure if employee retention has been improved, and you can attach that monetary value to the percentage of your employee retention so that you can actually see the financial implications of the training program you've done. If it's productivity you're trying to achieve, identify how you want to measure productivity. Is it based on salary and hours, or is it based on the outcomes that is expected of someone in that role? Everything that you are nurturing in a leadership development program can be turned into monetary value. And if it can't, then it's still a benefit to measure those intangible things that come as a result of a leadership development program. Here's an example of a leadership development program that I created when I was at Oracle. At Oracle, we were hiring 5,000 college graduates every year. These were people that were going into the sales teams and also into product development. We were nurturing the future leaders of the organization. But at the time, we got feedback from management that it wasn't going very well because these new hires weren't integrating into the team very effectively. So they asked us to do some leadership development. Well, the first thing we did is we wanted to set clear goals and expectations for that leadership development. So we reached out to both the college grads and their managers to ask what was going on. What was the disconnect disconnect. And what we found, surprisingly, was that the number one issue reported by both managers and employees was a lack of communication. So we identified the particular leadership skill that needed to be developed was the ability for managers to communicate with their employees, those college grads. If we hadn't set clear expectations and looked into that with a needs assessment, we might have just created a training for the college graduates about corporate culture. But instead, we got clear on our goals and we identified how the managers were impacting that dynamic. We then allowed the managers to take accountability for their role in what was being perceived as a disconnect, as well as the college grads in their own right. And finally, we created real-world action opportunities for both manager and college grad to improve their communication skills by setting up a brand new program for feedback exchanges between those two groups. We measured the value of the work that we had done by converting productivity increase as well as the intention to stay metrics to monetary value and got an over 700% ROI on that leadership development program. Leadership development programs need to be actionable, real-world programs that are focused on creating accountability for everyone involved and have clear goals and measurables to determine whether or not they've been successful. If you're interested in more information about how you can develop your leaders and also create a workplace culture that drives results, go to gift.culture.io or click on the link below in the description to get a free ebook to help you on your journey.